I've been after a knife like this for quite a while. The idea genuinely intrigues me. There has been a bit of a shortage of knives in this country for the last couple of years, and this is the AliExpress version. It is a fairly sort of cheapy thing, but it's just this whole idea of a two-in-one knife. Is it actually any good? Does it work? There's not many of these around. I can think of 2 or 3 manufacturers, Marbles included, and another one I came across recently. One sort of having a look, see if there's anything about the history or useful in any of these. What I can see, they're more sort of European, and particularly the Germans liked them a lot as well. Now, so you get a knife. We get 2 knives in one package, really. One smallish blade, yeah, good idea. And the second one comes to the more sort of fighting, skinning, big stuff Bowie knife that we all know and love so well. Folded, the whole thing runs to 9 inches with a roughly 4-inch blade. Open, it's about 12 inches with roughly 7-inch blade, so you've a fair old bit of stuff for what was 20 odd quid. The steel, don't know, didn't say. I'm guessing it's 420. The wood, don't know. Guessing again from the markings, it's probably a hardwood of some type, but it's, you know, it's not bad for what I paid for. There's a couple of little flaws, a couple of things that do irritate me immensely. Before we go into them, the biggest one is the sheath. It's frankly rubbish. It's very, very thin. It's adequately made. It is leather. When you do fold the knife up, put it in, it just sort of sits there. The really annoying rattly clip, you've got to get that bit flat as well, sits there. It holds it into place reasonably well. That's not going to last very long, that's not going to be very tough, but it does also flop over. So, you know, sheath overall, not impressed, not very good, but for the price, you know, what can you say? The knife itself, it's not badly made. There's a couple of little things that I really don't like. These edges are sharp. These edges are quite sharp. That flops around annoyingly. That there's not a lot, but again, it's held in with a brass pinned all the way around to make it work. Press that lever down. That retracts a pin. We can just about see the hole the pin goes in there, and then locks into place. What you've essentially got is a very large folding knife that is secured with a pin through there. So yeah, how strong it's going to be, don't know. That flaps around quite annoyingly. If you're using it to its full extent, you've got to cover that with your thumb. The crossguard, it could be better. That cheap Finker knife that I got, it stays in place, but the action, I don't know, perhaps it was just too expensive to get one that actually works properly. Does fiddle around there. It does work an awful lot nicer with a little drop of oil as well, like a lot of sort of, well, any knife I've ever bought that's got any working parts, moving parts in it, give it a little drop of oil. So when you've got the small knife, again, sits quite nicely in there, but there's quite a gap between the bottom of the handle and the bottom of the blade. But it is quite a useful little blade, and it's surprisingly sharp. Again, like all cheap knives, it seems to come very sharp, so that works quite nicely like that. And it's not an uncomfortable knife to use either. In fact, it actually works surprisingly well, given it's not the most comfortable grip. That's obviously moving about, that's flapping about, but it works reasonably well. You can do a little bit of firewood with it. A little bit of feather sticking. Get some little bits off there. Start it with if need be. It is noticeable though that when that blade sticks up like that, that does dig into the web of my thumb, and it's not the most comfortable. Really could do with these edges being taken down. So these are quite sharp edges, and so is that one. But again, you know, for the price, I don't think you can complain too much. And for the availability of these things, I've been after one of these for a long time. The marbles one's been out of stock ever since about the last 3 years from what I can see, and I can't find another supplier apart from these sort of cheap Chinese sites. We're going to chop something big. So overall, I think it's an interesting idea. Small knife and a big knife. Does it say you have to carry 2 knives? Bear in mind it is a lock knife, but I think that's probably going to be tough enough. It is a good idea, not brilliantly executed on this example. That's really annoying. That's annoying. This is just garbage, frankly. So for 25 quid, I think it's a kind of proof of concept almost. It works. There are sort of antique German ones where I still have an idea that this kind of knife sort of derived from, 1900s, late 1800s in Europe. There are German ones that are better made. The knife sits much lower in the handle. You don't get that really annoying ridge there. And they're just generally better made. But, it was a cheapie, so what can you say? The handle it's about 30 millimeters, rather 30 centimeters, would be a foot, wouldn't it? Or about 1 inch thick. It's not particularly well shaped. So that's a little bit uncomfortable to use, although you get a decent substantial thing to wrap your paws around. The blade, this part of the blade's quite usable, but for I guess for really fine work, you'd be wanting something else. Overall, though, it's a fine looking knife. It's still, I think, an interesting idea. I would love to get a better made one. I don't know where you're going to get one from. Might have to keep an eye out on the sort of antique market, but these come up very, very rarely, which is a bit of a shame, because I think a well-made one, a really good one, really would be a good idea. This still has a fond place in my collection. I do like it, and I've been after one of these for a long time. I'm sort of 90% happy with it, and for 25 quid including postage and no age verification when it gets delivered, yeah, it'll do.